Hello everyone, welcome back to Pre-Algebra. I'm using Pre-Algebra for Christian Schools by Bob Jones University Press. And we are in section 1.6, which is problem solving, where we're using a 4-point checklist. But first, the moment I know you are already just waiting for, lame joke of the day. Can you tell me what is 50 feet long and jumps every 10 seconds? Well, it's easy. It's a dinosaur with hiccups. So, yeah, that's pretty much of a groan, but still, can you see him going, thump, thump, anyway, section 1.6. What I have learned, what I've seen is that anytime you hear the word problem or story problem, if I'll use that, just randomly throw it into a sentence, usually the person will just go, I can't do word problems, I hate them, I hated algebra, I hate story problems, you can't do them. Because it doesn't matter if you're in 4th grade or in junior high school, or if maybe your mom and dad, for some reason they've had a difficult time trying to solve story problems, and you have sort of this phobia, like, some people are afraid of snakes, and some people just hate spiders, and some people have this fear of heights. Well, a lot of people just really don't like story problems. And what we're going to talk about today in section 1.6 is just 4 little simple steps that make you're going to say, well, this should be like real obvious, Miss Betsy. But what happens is I drop my pen and it goes underneath the table. Let me see if this one works. Yeah. What I've found is people get all psyched out as they're working on word problems, and they try and take in this huge amount of material, and then they get lost in the problem and think there's no way they can solve it. So let's just break down our approach to word problems with these 4 little steps we're talking about. We're going to read, we're going to plan, we're going to solve, and we're going to check. Read, plan, solve, and check. What are we going to do? Well, duh. If we're going to read something, I think maybe we probably better read the problem. And what are we going to do as we read the problem? Well, we're going to look for information that is relevant, or information that relates to what we're trying to find. And we're going to just see what it is that they're actually asking us to do. So let's say that we have this story problem over here and we're reading it. And it says that Sam has 2 cats, Joe has 3 cats, and Mark has 2 dogs. How many cats do the boys have? Well, Sam's got 2, Joe has 3, Mark has 2 dogs. What is the question asking us for? We've read the whole way through the problem. Now, we didn't stop in the middle and say, Sam has 2 cats, Joe has 2 cats, Mark has, well, Sam has 2 cats, Joe has 3 cats, Mark has 2. 2 plus 3 plus 2 is 7. Well, no. You have to read to the end of the problem here. How many cats does Mark have? He has no cats. He has dogs. So, for all we care, he could have 100 dogs. That's not a piece of information that we're interested in. So we've read the problem. We see that we want to know how many cats these boys have altogether. And we've identified the pieces of information that are helpful to our problem. And I'm actually on page 22 in your text. It has more words involved with read, plan, solve, and check. But I'm explaining to you what we're going on. So we've already read the problem. We read the entire problem. We didn't stop halfway through. We read clear to the very last word. Because if we had not read to the very last word of this sentence over here, we could have, our minds are very tricky little things. And it could have very easily said Mark has 2 cats. You know, our mind's going to put cats in there because we're talking cats, we're looking for cats. But it was actually dogs. So we've read the entire sentence, the entire problem. Now, we have to plan. What does that mean? Well, it just says, okay, what exactly am I being asked? And how am I going to figure it out? It says, well, what they're asking me about is not how many animals are there altogether, because if it were, then we would care about the dogs. But what they're asking is how many cats. Okay, we're going to find the total number of cats. If somebody's got some here, somebody has some over here, and then there's some back in the backyard, well, how do you figure out how many cats you have altogether? Well, sure, you add them together. So our plan is going to be take the number of cats that we have and add them together. We're going to take 2 cats plus 3 cats. We're going to solve what we're going to work our plan. We've planned. Now we're going to solve. 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 what? 5 donkeys? No, we have 5 cats. So you want to come up with a label. Tell us what it is that you've done. We've solved our problem by adding 2 cats plus 3 cats to get 5 cats. We've read it, we've planned what we want to do, we've carried out our plan. Now we're going to check it. What if I had not been paying attention in some really strange way and I said 2 plus 3 was 50? One of the things that you do when you're checking a problem is you're looking at it to see is the answer really reasonable. Is it reasonable that 2 people would have 50 cats amongst them? Not really. Is it possible? Yeah, I've known some people that have lots and lots of cats, but it's not really reasonable that amongst 2 people you'd have 50 cats. So that should be a trigger to you that says, oh, I think I must have done something wrong. Oh, okay, I was thinking 20 plus 30. No, it's not 50 cats, it's 5 cats. So when you check, you go back and you redo whatever your arithmetic is, and then you look at your answer to see if it's reasonable. So, if you take a story problem or a word problem that you're given, and you use these 4 steps, then you have where you can taking a little bite at a time of what it is that you're working on, and it's not so scary and it's more manageable. So what I want to do now is just work through one problem. This is in our skill check on the bottom of page 22. And we're just going to read that problem number 1, and see what we have. Now what's the first thing that my plan said to do? It said, well, let's read the problem. Read the whole problem. Problem number 1 says, Amy bought a 10-pound bag of potatoes for $3.29, 3 pounds of apples at 99 cents a pound, and honey-baked ham for $9.78. How much change did she receive from a $20 bill? Well, what do we have going on here? She went grocery shopping. Okay, what did she do? Well, she bought potatoes, and she bought apples, and she bought ham. What are they asking us for? How much change does she get back when she gives the person at the checkout counter a $20 bill? Well, what do you have to do in order to know how much change you get? Well, that's right, you have to know how much money you spent to begin with. And if you, let's say you go to McDonald's and you get a hamburger off the dollar menu and you get a milkshake for $2 and you get a salad for, well, I don't know, for $2.50. How much money do you have to give her? Well, you add it all together. This is what we're going to do here. We have groceries. We have 10 pounds of potatoes. We have 3 pounds of apples. And you know this pound sign, it looks like tic-tac-toe. It's a pound sign. 3 pounds of apples. And you have 1 honey-baked ham. Now, how much do each of these cost? Look back in your problem. 10-pound bag of potatoes was $3.29. Now, is that $3.29 a pound? Is it $3.29 for a potato? Tell you what, it'd have to be really good potato to buy a raw potato for that price. No, what this is saying is she bought a whole bag of potatoes. It happened to weigh 10 pounds, but that doesn't have any effect on the price. So this 10 pounds right here is what they call extraneous information. All that means is, it doesn't matter how many pounds. She bought all of the potatoes together for a lump sum of $3.29. Now we have 3 pounds of apples, and don't you love the way I spelled apples? Appleseed. So we'll just get rid of that extra S there. How much did the apples cost? Well, let's look back at our book. Our book says 3 pounds of apples at 99 cents a pound. So the apples are this at 99 cents a pound. So now we've got another little extra piece of information here. With the potatoes, we didn't care about how many pounds we had because the price was for the whole bag. With the apples, we do care how much it is because it's priced for 1 pound, but she bought 3 pounds. If 1 pound costs 99 cents, how much do 3 pounds cost? Costs $2.97. You want to know the real cool little estimation trick that I did right there? At 99 cents a pound, 99 cents is just 1 penny away from $1. 3 times $1 is $3 minus 3 cents gives me $2.97. That's how I did that arithmetic in my head. So it was important here that we have 3 pounds because we had to take 3 times the price for 1 pound to get $2.97. Now we have a ham. The ham is $9.78. Do we care that it's a honey-baked ham? Did it come from the Honey Baked Ham Company? Did it come from Costco? Did it come from Aldi? Did it come from Walmart? It doesn't matter. Do we care how much it weighs? No. Only thing we care about is how much it costs. Okay. Now back to exactly what are we finding? We want to know how much change we get from a $20 bill. In order to know how much change we have to have our total. So we're going to add up these numbers. $3.29 plus $2.97 plus $9.78. Miss Betsy, can I use my calculator? No. Practice your addition. 9 plus 7 is 16, plus 8 is 24, carry 2. 2 plus 2 is 4, plus 9 is 13, plus 7 is 20, carry 2. 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 2 is 7, plus 9 is 16. The total price of the groceries that this person bought, $16.04. At this point, go back and recheck your addition. I don't do addition in my head very well at all. Matter of fact, even just doing columns of addition, I don't like to do that by hand. Multiplication is one thing, the addition just, I get weary of it. So go through and check it, make sure that you've done your addition correctly. Now, is this my answer? You say $16.04. This is where a lot of people will stop. Why? Well, because they've forgotten that over here, when we first started this problem, the very last question is, how much change did she receive from a $20 bill? Well, I don't care how much the groceries cost, but because you've gotten an answer, sometimes when you're not being careful to read your problem, you think, oh, that must be what my answer is. No, you have to figure out how much change you got, not from a $22 bill, but from a $20 bill. $20 minus 16.04 is $3.96 change. So here's your solution. What did we do? We read the problem. We found out what information we had. We found out information that wasn't necessary, like the fact that it was 10 pounds of potatoes. We saw that the price for the apples wasn't 99 cents, but it was 3 times 99 cents because we bought 3 pounds of apples. We saw that we didn't care to know the final amount of money that we spent for the groceries, even though we had to find that, because what we really wanted to know was that the amount of money that we had left from our $20 bill was $3.96. And then we looked at this and we say, okay, we've checked our arithmetic. Is it reasonable that I buy these things and I get about $4 back? Well, let's see. The ham's about $10, apples are about $3, is $13. Potatoes are a little bit more than $3, $16, you get about $4 back. Yeah, it's a reasonable answer. Now if we'd said our change was $17, that's not reasonable. If we said our change was $36.04, what would we have done wrong? We would have added. Let's say that we added instead of subtracting. Is it true that 20 plus 16.04 is equal to 36.04 or $36.04? Yeah, it's true. You did the arithmetic. But were we supposed to add those numbers together? No, you can't go grocery shopping, typically, and get more money back than you handed her to begin with. So clearly here there was a mistake, and you say, oh, I added instead of subtracting. But if you hadn't taken the time to go back and verify your work, or if you'd not reread it, or if you'd just been in a hurry, yeah, 36.04 looks right. But it's wrong because it didn't say, okay, you had $20, and you also spent $16.04. How much money did you begin with together? I don't know, whatever the problem would have had to have been different to get this. So if there's a secret to word problems, it's take a deep breath, don't be afraid of them, step back, take it apart a little bit at a time, read it carefully, read the problem the whole way to the end until you get to the period. Make sure you understand what's going on. Make sure you understand if they've given you information that you don't need, because that really does happen a whole lot. They'll throw, they call it extraneous information. It's extra stuff that just muddies up your problem, doesn't have anything to do with the question that they're asking you. And then figure out what you're going to do, check your work, and then when you come up with a solution, look at that solution. Take 10 seconds and say, is it reasonable? Is it reasonable that John and Susie were in a foot race together and John ran 25 miles an hour? I don't think so. Take just an extra second to check your answers for reasonableness, and the word problems aren't so scary anymore at all. So that's the end of section 1.6, and I will see you next time.